Welcome to Occasional Randomness. I'm your host, Eric Scott, and joining me, as always, is my fellow co-host, somebody who does not want to be tortured either. And whether watching this episode counts as torture or not, we'll find out soon. Jason Johnson.
Yeah, we'll dive into that comment in just a minute. But at first, I need to cross something over. Off. Well, we'll get there.
Under, around, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Only if I really care for it, though, right? That's the new rule. Anyway.
Yeah. You have to really, really enjoy it. Then that's what you do. So this time around, we're talking about season 4, episode 18 of Farscape, Prayer, where we finally get to see what Aeryn's been up to since he's been captured by the Scarens a couple episodes ago. And John and Scorpius go for a ride.
And where if you follow our guessing game from last time, I don't think we came anywhere close. So, yeah.
Nope. Although in the first scene, you'll figure out what the episode title means, but we didn't know that. And yep, not a clue. So once again, writers or title makers, good job pulling our little guessing game, which you had no idea about 25 years ago. But anyway.
And we suck at in general. So.
Hey, well, yeah. And our little PS announcement, as always, PSA announcement. If you like what we do here, please give us a like or a review, or better yet, spread the word on all the socials about us. We'd appreciate it.
Please and thank you.
So this is a even episode, so that's being 0.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and jump into Farscape Season 4, Episode 18, Prayer. So we start out with Aeryn in a dark room, all alone, kneeling on the floor. She says, "There was one guard. I don't remember her face. She never told me her name. She told me a legend about how Sebastians once had a god called Jankes-Bru. 6 worlds prayed to her. They built her temples, conquered planets, and yet one day she still rose up and destroyed all 6 worlds." Not sure where the legend came from if she destroyed them all, but anyway.
That's why it's a legend.
Yeah. It always makes me wonder these destructive religions. If there's no survivors, who tells the tale? Anyway, when the last warrior was dying, he said, "We gave you everything. Why did you destroy us?" And she looked down upon him and whispered, "Because I can."
And so there's the title of the episode right there. So now you know why.
When you call my name. Anyway, song reference that nobody will get. On Moya, Scorpius and John are walking to command, picking up from where they were last episode. Scorpius tells John that Aeryn could be dead, but John is sure he'll find her before the Scarens can mind rape her until she has no allegiance to him. Scorpius asks what John's plan is, and he tells Scorpius that when he met Einstein, he blipped to Bizarro Moya. It was the same Leviathan, but different, and Stark there uttered Kastratsky. He thought it was gobbledygook, but then Sikozu heard the same word before Aeryn was kidnapped. Since Scorpius doesn't know the location, he figures that if Bizarro Stark knows its name, he may know where it is. He says that's his idea, but he's open to anything better. "If I help with this insanity," Scorpius says, and we do get Aeryn back, "you'll tell me everything about wormholes, every equation, every formula." "Everything," John replies, to which Scorpius cuts John's finger and then his own, and dripping blood, they make a Scaran blood vow. "You hate everything Scaran," John asserts, and Scorpius responds by sucking the blood on his finger.
Ew, gross. Yeah.
Cut back to Aeryn, who's in chains in a cell on the Scaran ship. Knowing that she's not the sort of person to ask for such a thing, she asks Jankes-Bru to send her a sign that he is coming for her. A Scaran enters with a Sebastian nurse, asking if she's ready to answer her questions. She says something in Scaran, presumably vulgar, and he lashes out with his heat projection, asking her where Crichton is. She says she doesn't know, but he tells her to stop resisting and asks again. Aeryn tells the Scaran that John is on Moya. He asks what she knows about Crichton's wormhole research. "I don't know anything. He didn't tell me anything," she responds in pain. The nurse tells him to stop and he asks what the problem is. Is she weak or is she faking? The nurse assures him that she's not faking, and he tells the nurse to convince Aeryn to tell him what she knows when she wakes up if she wants to live, or he'll start again. Back to Moya, Dargo asks, "You're going to go to the variant Moya?" Channa says that he could end up on Earth again and mess everything up, but John's sure he won't. He has a hum in his head like a whale. Dargo says that he thinks John should rest, but John says he has a hum and he'll follow it. Einstein told him he could get back to the places he's been before. It's like a homing beacon and he can make it. Jenna tells him that he can't go with Scorpius. He'll screw John, then betray him. She asks Scorpius why he's going, and he replies that he and John have an agreement. Dargo asks what it is, but Scorpius says the details are confidential. John tells him he knows what he's doing, and he knows it's stupid, but it's out of his hands. Just get us close to the wormhole, and if we don't come back, right. The nurse enters Aeryn's cell, where she's strapped into a chair. Feeling better, the nurse asks. Aeryn says critical heat delirium, and the nurse tells her that she almost couldn't reduce Aeryn's temperature in time. She thought peacekeepers were supposed to be battle strengthened, and asks why the heat probe almost killed her. Aeryn says she's tired and tells the nurse to go away. I wish I could, she whispers, telling Aeryn that the Sicarians will kill her unless she gives him a reason not to. Aeryn asks if she's really Sebastian and asks what if it makes it easier to do her dirty work while she takes the coward's choice. The nurse says she's heard all that before, but she's not chained in a cell. She realized a long time ago with the peacekeepers and Sicarians that who was in charge doesn't matter. It wouldn't be her. She's going to survive and suggests that Aeryn does the same. She lets Aeryn know that she will tell Captain Jennick, that's the Scaran, that Aeryn is ready for another interrogation. John and Scorpius are in the pod, and Pilot tells John that Moya senses the wormhole is destabilizing.
Surprise.
Scorpius says, surprise. It seems to be a trait of wormholes. Scorpius says that he was just musing that if John misses his intended target, they could change the future or the past. Create a world devoid of peacekeepers and Scarans. Would you like that? John ignores him and focuses saying goodbye to Moya. Shannon wishes him luck, and he enters the wormhole. John navigates saying the directions and concentrating, and they exit the wormhole, and Scorpius asks where exactly is here. Back on the Scaran ship, Jennick tells the nurse that the signal from Aeryn's bioloid stopped before they could detect the Leviathan. The first question he will ask is how they detected it so quickly. The nurse tells him there's something about her since her reaction to the heat probes was so severe, but he says he doesn't care if she dies. The nurse asks for one Arn, as she has an idea of how Aeryn may be useful to them. Jennick tells her she has one Arn, and then Aeryn answers or dies. John's telling Scorpius as they spin in the module that some kind of crap has frozen up the fluid drives. John asks for the record what Scorpius would have done with the information and the ability to control wormholes. Take over as much of the universe as possible, found your home planet, and destroyed it. John says that's not funny, and then Scorpius goes on to say he would use the wormholes as a deterrent against any future Scaran attack. John tells him to strap himself in and gets the module back in operation, and they re-enter the wormhole. John navigates, and they come out again. Is that the Moya we're looking for? Scorpius asks, looking at a Leviathan in the distance. Better be. My head's ringing like a fireball. Jennick is interrogating Aeryn with more heat probing and asks how she knew they planned to kidnap Grayza. Aeryn says that it was an accident, and the nurse rushes in telling him to stop. He persists, but she says she's with child. The Scaran heat probe will kill a pregnant Sebastian. Jennick makes the connection that Aeryn was close to Crichton. He asks the nurse if she can retrieve incumbent knowledge from the fetal DNA. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Yeah. While she can't do it here, she says the med labs on Katratsky may be able to. Aeryn hears and asks what they've done, and Jennick says that if this is Crichton's child, they could learn all that he knows about wormholes from his fetal DNA. Aeryn screams at them to get her out. Aeryn's back in her cell, again asking Jenkins Brew because she doesn't think she heard her the first time. Just get the message to him. Let him know where I am so that he can find me. One of her cellmates says that she didn't think peacekeepers had gods. She thought they believed in the warrior code. The nurse comes in and asks Aeryn whose child it is, saying that Captain Jennick will force it from her. He believes that he can find the human's child, the Scarans will reward him. The nurse warns Aeryn that unless she tells Jennick what he wants, he'll make her wish she were dead. And she tells her to talk to the other women, adding that they keep her drugged or asleep, or they can make things hard and ugly, worse than she can imagine. Jump back to now on the Bizarro Moya. John tells Scorpius, every wormhole has millions of exits to different times and places, which are complete and unending. He tells Scorpius that it's like everyone went into a blender. Why? Scorpius asks, and John tells him that with wormholes, anything is possible. They look into the galley, and John tells them they better hurry before Krace comes in and slaughters everybody. Scorpius catches his first glimpse of Sikozu Stark and Uranti Rigel. One of the prisoners is telling Aeryn about how the Scarens find something interesting about them, and then to see if they can produce offspring they can use. They bred her 6 times, and 3 died before term, and the other 3 are far away. Her specialty is that organic food on her planet grows a metal skin, which her saliva can dissolve. Aeryn tells her to dissolve the restraints, but she can't as the metal's too thick. Right, Aeryn says, and suspects that she just happens to be awake to talk to her. The prisoner says she palms the stuff they give her to sleep, and she's saved up enough that she can kill herself whenever she wants. She realizes that Aeryn thinks she's working for the nurse, but says Scarens don't need her. You can't beat them. They travel prisoners around on freighters so that no one ever knows their exact location. No one can save them, and they can't escape. She's tried for cycles and then gave up. Back on Bizarro Moya, John brings Sikozu Stark to the maintenance bay, telling him that he heard her say the word Katratzi. Sikozu Stark says she doesn't know, but John tells her that she said it when Tiana was killed. Scorpius offers to take over the interrogation, but is quickly told to shut up. John tells Sikozu Stark that he heard her say the Scaran word Katratzi, and he thinks it's a military base. Asks if she knows the location, but she says no, and he tells her that she said it when she was crossing someone over. But she tells him that she has no recollection of what she says when she's doing so. Scorpius asks how she can say something in Scaran, and Sikozu Stark says she must have crossed over a Scaran at one time. She only does that only when she's in the trance does the knowledge come flooding back. Scorpius leaves and tells John to keep her here because he'll be right back. The nurse is showing Janek a display of Aeryn's reproductive structure. The Sebacean egg is fertilized, it splits with life, splits again, and then stops. The ovum secretes a fluid that keeps the pregnancy in stasis, freezing life, and the proto-fetus can be stored for up to 7 cycles before triggering gestation. The nurse prepares some type of serum, but Aeryn tells her not to use it. She'll tell them what she wants to know. You wouldn't lie to me, the nurse asks, and then injects her. Aeryn responds, of course she'd lie, before she can restrain herself.
Oops.
Yeah, oops. She tells him she doesn't know whose child it is, and that there was another man, Valoric, but he's dead now. He was executed for treason because she betrayed him. Janet doesn't believe her and orders the nurse to use more serum. Following another injection, she admits that Valoric was not the father and lapses out of consciousness. The nurse tells Janet that she can't wake Aeryn up until more of the serum wears off. He turns his attention to the prisoner, and the nurse reports that her DNA scans show no enhancement of the embryo. As Aeryn suddenly opens her eyes while the prisoner objects, saying it's too early, Janet destroys her child with a heat probe, adding that unless he gets what he wants, Aeryn will be next. Scorpius brings Naranti Rigel to the bay and reaffirms that Sikozu Stark can channel past memories when she crosses a soul over. She says yes, so Scorpius grabs John's pistol from its holster and shoots Naranti Rigel. Scorpius tells Sikozu Stark to cross her over and tells John that they'll be dead in an hour if they don't have time to negotiate. Sikozu Stark says she can't cross her over. She has to love the soul and care about where it goes. John's confused, but she says she's always had to love the soul. Different Stark, different rules, John asserts, asking her what happens if she doesn't love the soul. She can't cross them over without love. They just die. Whoops, John says to Scorpius.
Yeah. Would have been nice to know about 10 seconds earlier.
Yep. Aeryn asks the prisoner if she's in pain, and she says it's the 3rd one they've terminated. She saw it on the scan. It must have been malformed. She says that the 3 that survived were beautiful and healthy. And you've had 6 pregnancies, Aeryn asks, since earlier she said she'd already had 3 terminated. The prisoner says they'll wait a while, then fertilize her again. She asks Aeryn's had a child, but Aeryn explains that she vowed never to have the baby in the peacekeeper environment. That's now protecting this child may end her life. The prisoner says there's another way. She's hoarded enough sleeping pills for them both, but she's never been brave enough to do it herself. Aeryn asks her name, Morik. Aeryn says that when someone comes to get her, they can save Morik too. Back near the wormhole, Pilot tells the crew that he's been calling John every 30 microts, but the wormhole is destabilizing. Sikozu tells Dargo that Grays is no fool, and they'll die if they stay here much longer. Dargo says he doesn't know how long they'll wait, and Chiana tells Sikozu to back off. But Sikozu tells him they should wake Naranti up and vote because Crichton is safe, but they will die if Grays finds them. Dargo says he's not willing to make that decision, but Pilot says he may have to. Moya scans have picked up another vessel coming this way. He can't tell yet if it's military. Janek asks the nurse if he's matched the embryo DNA, but it's a pattern the memory banks have never cataloged, so it could be half human. They don't have a sample of Crichton's DNA. Aeryn offers to tell them to end her pain. She says that while she was off Moya, she was an assassin and there was a man named Lechna. He was her contact and also her lover. She says she tried to suppress it until now to protect him, but it's most likely his conception. He's from a place called Vendril, a small planet off most charts. Janek has heard of it, and the nurse cross-checks the DNA with matches from that area. Scorpius has Aeryn Chiana, but John tells him they'll do it his way, not Scorpius's. Dargo Jewel comes along with a gun, asking what John is doing with Chiana. That's Jewel, John tells Scorpius. He tells Dargo Jewel to let them pass, but Scorpius urges John to shoot him. Dargo Jewel starts firing, forcing John to shoot him. John asks if Scorpius is satisfied, but he says no, very messy. Back on the ship, Janek has Aeryn injected and tells her she lied. They found records of Vendril DNA and it did not match. There's no Lechna. She persists and Morik sticks up for her in the background. Janek orders more doses of serum despite the nurse telling him that it would kill the child. Aeryn tells him that she was on Moya watching John, and as soon as she left, she went straight back to Lechna. I never loved John Crichton, she says. You lie. Tell the truth. Aeryn says when she left Moya with Lechna, she completely forgot about Crichton, and we see a flash of her kissing John. Pilot tells Dargo that although it's a ways off, the vessel seems to be a command carrier. Sikozu wants to starburst, but Chiana suggests using the engine signature change like before. Rigel says that a Scaran freighter would attract the Peacekeeper attack, but Chiana says they won't let them get that close. If they get a long-range scan, they'll move off because they're not Moya. Dargo says it's worth a shot, and they vote. Sikozu and Rigel vote to starberth, but Chiana, Moya, Pilot, and Dargo vote to stay. Scorpius asks John if he's sure it will work, and John says that's how it happened before. Aeryn Chiana died, and Sikozu Stark channeled the Scaran when crossing her over. John says he'll do it, but Aeryn Chiana asks what John's doing. Sikozu Stark says that if he kills her, she won't cross him over, and John says he will because in half an Arn, they'll die anyway, and he can't stop it. John pulls out his pistol, and Scorpius assures him it's not Aeryn. Looks a lot like her, he says. Aeryn Chiana thinks it's a joke. John has to stop because he can't kill her. She's right, John can't, but Scorpius can, and he grabs his hand and pulls the trigger. John hits Scorpius as Sikozu Stark screams. Aeryn tells Janek that she doesn't know if it's Crichton Childs, and it's a heat probe. But the nurse objects, saying he'll kill her. Who's the father, Janek asks. Aeryn says that on Vendril she met a man, but can't hold it up. As she froths at the mouth, she tells Janek there's no Lechna, I made him up, just Crichton, only ever just Crichton. Sikozu Stark enters the trance while crossing over Aeryn Chiana and says Katratsi. Aeryn asks if she knows where it is. Seat of Scaran power, small, fortified. It's dangerous. Disguises its presence by mirroring the orbit of one of the moons of Trizalik. Scorpius says he knows that planet and tells John they can go now. They leave after John looks closely at Aeryn Chiana and Sikozu Stark. Morik wakes Aeryn up out of her restraints. She says she watched the codes. She brought Aeryn the pills and they take them together. Morik thanks her for doing this with her, and Aeryn asks what other choice she has. She'd rather be dead than let them have her child. Is it really his, the man you love? Morik asks. Aeryn asks her if the pills make you tired. At first, but then, I had such incredible dreams for my child, it's impossible not to. How she was going to change the world, how she was going to look after me when I was old. They were so foolish, Aeryn says. Morik says they weren't and she had the same dreams. She asks again if it was Crichton's child. Aeryn draws her closer. Did you really have a child, she asks. Morik says she had 6 pregnancies and only 3 survived. Aeryn grabs her by the throat. I want the truth. I know these pills won't kill me. I know you're their spy, so I want to know the truth. Have you even had one child? Have you ever given birth to one child? The truth. Morik says no, and Aeryn snaps her neck, saying, then I orphan no one.
Well then.
Yep. John and Scorpius arrive back at Moya, telling them they know where the base is. Since the command carrier is on the way, they catch John's module in the docking web and starburst immediately. Janek tells Aeryn that they've set forth for Katratsi. The nurse tells her that they've been informed of her condition and there's a surgeon on hand. Aeryn, kneeling on all fours, raises her head as they exit. Now, Janice Brew, if you haven't listened and you haven't helped, and I'm running out of time, so I'm going to forget about you. I'm now willing to make a deal with anyone, with anything, to save my child. Not because I can, but because I have to. The end. A little bit of trivia about this one. Durante does not appear. However, Melissa Jaffer still appears as Rigel Naranchi in the Unrealized Reality, or
Bizarro Moya.
Bizarro Moya, as we like to call it. Adding the scene in which Scorpius shoots the alternate Rigel was intentional and done to remind the audience of Scorpius's edge. Producer Andrew Prouse noted that this episode was probably the closest translation from script to screen of any Farscape episode. Executive producer David Kemper was so impressed with Jason Clarke's performance as Janek that he had him written into the final episodes of the season. So I guess we'll see more of him. And Crichton and Scorpius, for reasons unexplained, are able to have their run of the ship on the Bizarro Moya, including firing weapons and killing people without interference from pilot or the DRDs. But this could possibly be because it would interrupt the tension of the scene and cause interference irrelevant to the plot of the episode. So, okay. I think we mentioned at the top, we've picked up with Aeryn after her capture. What'd you think of this one, Eric?
So yeah, I wasn't really much of a fan of this episode. I guess we'll get into that here in a little bit. I know, Farscape's had its share of dark episodes, and that's one of the reasons why it's, such a fan favorite kind of thing, is it's just, off the wall and not your normal sci-fi of the day kind of show, right? Like it's not your father's Star Trek, right? And, this is definitely up there with, those other dark episodes. But I don't know. I just seemed like they could have done this some other way, or some other way less gratuitously violent, for no reason I can think of other than to make us try to sympathize with what Aaron's going through, and and with John for making hard decisions to do whatever it takes to find Aaron. But I don't know, for whatever reason, it just didn't really land for me. Yeah, I didn't really care about any of the supporting characters on the Scarin ship. I didn't really care about the alternative Moya crew either. They were just kind of there as a means to an end that they could have probably done in, like, 3 scenes and moved on, which would make it important, would make it a fun TV show. But yeah, so, but what do you think about it?
Yeah, so probably somewhere between you and okay. Uh, I didn't mind the darker Aeryn plot lines, but I do agree the unrealized reality. I kind of wish we had some more time to spend there. I think we'll dive into this as we hit the larger discussion. But you know, we went there on John's previous visit, but it was so quick, and you don't get the feeling at the time that we would come back. So you're kind of like, oh, this is just kind of nice little quick wormhole, mixed up character through the looking glass type thing. But now we kind of needed to care about them, and we, like you say, we didn't have the attachment, so it it kind of was hit or miss in that plot especially.
Yeah, I mean, if they were done more to, like, build up, like, the relationship, or something to make us care more, it may have, been more like, I can't believe he's shooting them. Like, because, well, you not were told Stark has to cross somebody over. It's like, well, yeah, how else are you gonna do it? So, like, okay, well, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, let's go through kind of each of these plot lines, since they're all kind of separate-ish. Um, the shortest plot line was our crew on Moya, the real Moya. So of course, you always have to have somebody that doesn't want to do what the rest of the group does, right? So we got Sakoso and Rigel, like, don't want to hang around for John. It's like, yeah, write him off. We gotta get out of here. Dargo, being the captain, gives John, some time. But then, of course, drama. Pilot tells them that Moya senses a command carrier approaching, which is, of course, probably Greza, because who else is around here? And it was cool though that they at least kept, like, the past history they've had, like, where they've established that Dargo is the captain and he's the only one that can give pilot orders, so the pilot doesn't get confused, or you have 7 captains yelling at the pilot to do things, right? And so we get to vote, which is cool, right? So that's how we do it. They're not military, they're not in the same chain of command. They're just they're all the same prisoners or whatever. So they get a vote, right? And I thought it was pretty cool that it came down to Moya and Pilot, and that Moya and Pilot voted to stay. And granted, it did have some drama a little bit there, because you never know what Moya might do, as we've seen in the past. She votes one way, Pilot might vote another way. So I thought it was cool that they kept that vote thing, and that Moya and Pilot was sympathetic enough to John to vote to stay, and a little while longer.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I always enjoy the reminder that Moya's part of the crew, and should have a say in what happens. Right? Too often, it's kind of like she's just a ship. especially I feel like in the last like little bit of the season, back when we had her having the kid and a separate Leviathan, and we were dealing with a lot of the Leviathan aspects of the show. But lately, it's just kind of been mostly pilot and less Moya. So it's kind of been neat to have her actually get a vote. So agreed. I think that was a big nice call out there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Moya's still there and is still part of the crew, more or less. So it's yeah, it's fun that when they bring her from time to time. Just reminds you that this is an organic ship. It's alive and it's got a brain too. It can think and make its own decisions.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we get to the towards the end of the Moya stuff. John's module shows back up. The command carrier is still coming. And I thought it was kind of cool that they capture his module in the docking web and just starburst away without bringing him into land. So I guess it must have been really close that they couldn't wait, however, but half a minute or whatever the hell it takes to dock a ship, right? Not that we ever saw the command carrier or whatever coming, which I don't know, budget constraints or, I mean, really drama wise, you just need to see the command carrier to, feel the drama.
Yeah, it's kind of like you don't need to see the shark in Jaws, right? It's if they talk about it and they're concerned about it, then that's all you need. There was too much else going on to spend the time and budget, right? We had enough cutting back and forth in this episode to worry about having to actually see the command carrier. So
Yeah, because sometimes telling is better than seeing, right? So usually well the other way around, but it didn't really matter in this case.
yeah, like you said, the drama didn't require it as long as they cared
Mhm.
about it.
All right, then the rest of the episode is pretty much evenly split between John and Scorpy in the other reality and Aeryn on the freighter. So I'll flip the mental coin and we'll just do John and Scorpy next because it's John and Scorpy. Yeah, it could be interesting. It's always fun when they get together, sort of. Yeah. So, like you said at the beginning, we kind of open up on them continuing their conversation of the last episode, where Scorpius was kind of surprised at John's offer. Yeah. So, John, again, in case you didn't see last episode, explains the whole plot again in like 10 seconds, where he's going to find the location of Katratzi. And Scorpius is like, and once we do and it all works out, I'll get the wormholes. John's like, yep. And then, yeah, for whatever reason, Scorpius decides to do some weird scare and blood vow with John, which I always love TV shows when they do this kind of thing. Like it's always way over the top of what it has to be to do this kind of thing. They like pull out a dagger or a knife or something and they like, cut their whole palm open from like, end to end or, slash their finger down top to bottom or, blood's everywhere. I'm like, what? Just about like a finger prick or something. Like, why go to like, I'll slash my whole hand. Now let's go have some fun. I'm like, well, now my hands hurt. I can't like, but TV drama, whatever. It works.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, is it going to come back up, or was it just for the weird factor of the deal? Does that mean something? The whole Nosferatu blood exchange thing, or is John going to get like super scaring powers or something? Yeah, since we didn't get a why, I'm not a big fan of it. Right, it would have been nice to kind of have at least a throwaway of it being important, other than just something Scorpio wanted to do.
Yeah, because some things on the show happen just because they want to be weird. But yeah, in the case of Scorpius, is there some other thing? Like, is there like another, like, will he know if John's going to renege on the deal somehow? Or is it like, Harvey 2.0? Like, whatever. I don't know, right? Yeah. And then when they're leaving Moya, Chan and Dargo try to get Scorpius to tell them why you're going along. And Scorpius just says, oh, it's confidential. Really? And John just doesn't even say a word. So I guess is the first rule of scare and blood vows that you don't ask or talk about scare and blood vows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it probably wouldn't have helped anyway, right? I mean, nobody else is going to trust Scorpio anyway, so is there a reason to waste the time talking to them about it? But yeah, you know, we have a deal, and just rush past that. It's kind of like, yeah, they just roll their eyes and keep going because it's what John and Scorpius seem to do.
Yeah, because it would be kind of hilarious if they said, "Oh yeah, we took a blood vow." Like, you took a scare and blood vow? Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's like, like that's the worst thing you could have done, or whatever. Maybe we'll find out later if that was or not, or is this a
Yeah.
throwaway weird Farscape thing, and we'll never talk about it again. And yeah, on their way to Bizarro Moya, we got some funny scenes with them trying to get there. And then I think it was kind of telling that Scorpius's first thing he says he would do with wormhole knowledge is he'd take over the universe, destroy Earth, and then He says, "Nah, really, I'll just use it as a deterrent against the Scarens." Yeah, which do we really believe, right? Although at this point, I don't know. Sure, probably the second one for now. Now,
A little from column A, a little from
exactly
column
right.
B.
So once he's done the second bit of keeping Scarens away from the Peacekeepers, and once he learns more about wormholes, I'm pretty sure I can see him going number one there. So,
A little too much honesty. Yeah. So here's what I don't get about the wormholes. It seems like mostly what John's doing is using the Force to fly. A little Obi-Wan Kenobi master here. So how's he going to share that with Scorpy? Like, is there like, how's he going to honor that part of the agreement if he's just flying by feel with, um, humming in his head guiding him, right? That doesn't seem to be something you can pass back to somebody else.
yeah, I mean, obviously, there's much more we know or don't know about wormholes, even still. The the whole unrealized reality show that we had, where Einstein explains the whole thing. We're still like, okay, so John can do that, but yeah, you're right. Can he transfer that knowledge to somebody else, or is it he's just going to use that knowledge to build weapons to like blow things up, like if they did the one time, and then not really use it as a travel device, or just as a way to blow things up real good.
Right. Or turn people to goo, which seems to be
Yeah.
another side effect they seem to be able to master.
Plus, would the agents allow that? Right? Would they try to intervene? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. And then, yeah, we finally get to Bizarro Moya and, but, suddenly learn that Sakoso Stark doesn't know Katratzi since it was only when she crosses somebody over and she can't remember outside of that. So, of course, now you know that, well, they have to cross somebody over. So, well, how you do that? So, Scorpius is like, I know. I'll be right back. Goes and grabs somebody, in this case, Narrator Rigel, I guess it was an unlucky person, and shoots them to force Stark to cross them over, which, of course, that's exactly where that was going. What you didn't see coming was that in this universe, that only works if Sakosa Stark loves that person. Like, would have been nice to know about 10 seconds before Scorpius shot her that, no, really, did not going to work. Not that Scorpius would believe that probably anyway, but so yeah, she
Yeah.
doesn't love Rigel, Narati Rigel, and John's like, yeah, whoops. Like nonchalantly, like, oh crap, oh well.
Yeah, I think we're going to need some more crew members.
Yeah. So I think this is the part of the episode where I finally kind of stopped caring about this plot line. It's like, okay, so now it's just a matter of time of let's bring in more of the crew and shoot them until we find the magic person that Sakosa Stark loves and get what we need and get out of here. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
And why didn't she love Rigel? I think is the other piece. That like, was this not a close crew? Is there drama? Is there something else going on? Just kind of more that wasn't really explained, right? Unless I missed it, because it just seemed kind of, not that person. Go to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you've been through enough with this crew that you've probably been through with, like, well, our crew's been through stuff. So it's like, maybe that's just not that level of love, like friendship love. Maybe it's not like romantic love. I don't know. But yeah, they didn't really go into it. They just said, just love somebody. Well, I guess it wasn't them. Oops.
Yeah.
Like John said, whoops.
Or maybe Rigel's just that annoying.
Maybe some things are true across all universes. Who knows?
Right.
And then John finally remembers that, oh, it was happened last time I was here with the Aeryn Shannon mashup. Well, it wouldn't be great to do it the first time, but okay. And then that's when she was dying, Sakosa Stark crossed her over, and that's when he heard Katratzi. So, okay, fine. So we go get her. We're dragging her back to the maintenance bay, and we come to our last of our alternate crew, Dargo Jewel, which goes about as well as you'd expect. And she starts shooting at them, and John shoots her and kills her. So, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, who cares? And then, of course, later, John tries to shoot the Aeryn Shannon makes up here, but can't as it looks too much like Aeryn. So, of course, once again, Scorpius shoots them. And of course, we get what we want. She crosses her over. She learns about Katratzi. She explains where it is. And Scorpius is like, yeah, I know exactly where that is. Let's go. And they go. What? Okay. So what do you think about this whole like subplot? Or like I said, I didn't really care because we don't really have any emotional ties to anybody. So it's just like a means to an end to get to where we have to get to. I mean, granted, I guess what the other answer had been Sakosha Stark's like, yep, and exactly where it is. Here's where it's at. And that was boring and they leave. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, like I said before, in other alternate timeline shows, on other TV shows, I usually care more about the alternate characters of the, than here. But here, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way they wrote the episode. I don't know, but it just didn't really. I kind of just tuned out at that point.
Yeah, I kind of spoiled my thoughts earlier, but they definitely needed something more here. They needed to spend some time on that previous episode or take some more time here. And, well, actually, I don't even know if it would have worked here with Scorpius. It really had to be on the other episode to actually, have John spend time with that crew and become attached to them, right? Because right now, like I said, it's just a scrambled up group of characters that aren't our real people. It's people in the wrong spot, and we don't care. We knew they were going to die. We watched them kind of die in the past, and now they're going to die again. It's like, well, we know they're going to die one way or the other. So it doesn't matter if John shoots them, Scorpius shoots them, or Krace shows up and kills them later. This is just a disposable reality.
Yeah, and now I guess it'd be even easier for Krace to take over the ship because there's no one left except for Sakosha Star and maybe the real, well, back versions of Krace if he's still around somewhere. So, I mean, okay. Whatever.
Right.
But hey, we'll never be back here again. So, yeah. Well. And then, yeah, our final major plot line is, of course, the Aeryn plot line, which that's why we're here. So we open with her telling the audience, since I didn't really see anybody around her cell, which I guess later there really was, but at the point in time, I realized she's just kind of talking out loud about a legend of Sebastian's having a god. And, throughout the episode, she keeps asking her to give her a sign that Crichton's coming for her so she can, get the strength to hold out, I guess. Which, of course, now there's our episode title, Prayer. Makes more sense now, like we said, than we thought before.
In the midnight
Yeah.
hour.
Although it never really struck me throughout the last 3.5 seasons, whatever, or 3 and 3/4 season, that Aeryn was particularly religious, since the Peacekeepers weren't really religious. Even when she's dealing with Zan, she didn't really seem like interested or just, it was just whatever. Which, I mean, I do get that people do turn to religion and things when under lots of stress or hopelessness. So, yeah, it makes sense to me. I can see it. But, at the end, she kind of gives up on that route and says she'll just do it herself, which I'm like, eh. I mean, sure. I mean, it happens, but just seems a little out of character for her. So that's kind of just like another part of like, yeah, I think I probably done that better, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I didn't mind that as much. I did enjoy the mythology part of the storyline, and like you said, you do see a lot of people turn to religion in desperation. So that part worked okay for me. And if anything, I would have liked a little more of the religious history of the peacekeepers, since maybe that was before they were the militaristic, only war codes, not religion approach. But yeah, I didn't mind that as much. There was so much else going on. I did have the, what was it, Major League, where it's like,
I was thinking the
at the
same
end of it, it's
thing.
like,
Just thinking the same thing.
I forget you, I'll do it myself, because this is not working. So I'll take it in my own hands. That's kind of where we got to, which is totally in
Yeah,
character.
that part is totally in
I was
character.
okay with
Yep.
that.
Yeah. So I'll give him that one. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. Get you, Jobu. I do it myself.
Yeah, it's Jobu. I haven't seen that movie in like 30 years.
I swear it's on like once a month, at least on some channel. Like I've seen bits of it probably like half the year so far this year. I mean, it's, I don't know, must just be on someone's rotation of movies that, And, there's other captives on the freighter that she gets to interact with. We see two initially, and then that one just disappears. I don't know what happened with her, but I guess we only focus on the one main captive, I guess, for the rest of the episode, Mora, which a little confusing for me. Like, was she always a spy and not a prisoner? Or if she was a prisoner, why was she helping Janet? I mean, maybe, she didn't want to, she's trying to get, like less torture if she helped turn prisoners or something, like, awards for being a helpful prisoner. I don't know. And yeah, it seems like she never gave birth to children, as she told Aeryn. I mean, if that was true, did they all get terminated by Janek like we saw or supposedly saw? I don't know. Was that for real? Was it all just a show for Aeryn? I don't know. Yeah, but Aeryn never trusted her anyway in the beginning. So I'm not sure if they wanted us to try to sympathize with Morok. Again, that didn't land for me because I didn't really care about her at all or anybody on the ship except for Jenna because that's the big bad villain, which you're supposed to care about because, it's the big villain, right? Yeah. But other than that, I'm like, eh. So,
Yeah, so I took it as it was the whole thing was a show. She was a spy the entire time because she confirms at the end that she never had any kids, right? So it was always just another layer to the spying, right? Another way to confirm that Crichton it was Crichton's kid and trying to just get the truth out of Aeryn, whether to back up what they got out of the drugs because maybe she was lying again. So it was just part of the whole spy theater they had going on the ship.
yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like, the prisoners would talk amongst themselves, right? And they would say things that they wouldn't say to the nurse or to Janek or whatever. So, yeah, if you had a spy in there from the beginning that everybody thinks is with them, they might reveal stuff that saves you the time and trouble of torturing them for.
Right. Yeah. Or at least corroborates, right?
Yeah.
Any more sources of intel.
Okay. So maybe it does make sense then. Okay. Again, I think I probably tuned out the whole thing after the Moya cruise. I'm like, whatever, man, just get on with it.
Yeah. You were watching some other show at the same
Yeah.
time at that
I'm
point.
like, what's going on my phone right now? Trying to look at something. No, I watch this thing, for the podcast. I watch every scene, everything. I'm looking right at it. I'm focusing. Well, in the back of my head, I'm like, who cares? Who cares? But we do learn something, though. They do kind of fill in the gaps of Aaron's time away from Moya from the end of last season, like the season ender where she just leaves John sitting there. And to earlier in the season when she comes back. Yeah, when she was back with that peacekeeper or ex peacekeeper death squad or assassin squad, whatever they called it. So there's been flashbacks throughout the whole show, which is remembering, like, the father, quote unquote, when she's denying, that Crichton's the father. So whether she really was intimate with one of them or not, who knows? Yeah, but we do see, the final flashback of her kissing John. So yeah, I mean, of course, we all know who's the daddy, right? Plus, at the end, she does finally give in to the torture and admits that it was all a lie and that it really is John's child. So there you go. If you had any doubts at all through the season or whatever, that, yep, she loves John, it's his kid. There you go.
Yeah, and I think that's the only thing I trusted from the whole episode from Aaron's perspective, because the whole rest of it I took as an unreliable narrator approach. She's just making things up. She lies immediately when they, I'm not, you don't need the serum. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm totally going to lie
Yeah,
to
right.
you. So, from that point forward, it's like everything that Aeryn does is trying to lie. And I don't think until the very end that she's actually truthful with them. And, I do think that, like you say, we get confirmed at the end that it's John's uh, kid, which we probably assumed anyway, because that's the only place they could logically go with it. But, everything else that happened is just, unreliable narrator stuff. And, I would not even trust that either of the people she mentioned even exist, and it's just, trying to throw them off the trail as much as she could. So,
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting for her to say, like, well, it was John's, but it was this kind of alternate thing where he was like his clone, but not his clone.
yeah,
Really confused them. They're like, what are you talking about? What?
yeah, it's not that Crichton's.
She's insane. What? And yeah, it kind of does seem like once, I guess maybe like Aaron's pregnancy is why the nurse Rena, I guess, really kind of, I guess, kind of came to her defense, right? I mean, sort of when Jenna was torturing Aaron. She's like telling him, like, she's with child. You can't do the heat thing. You're going to kill the baby. We have to save the baby. I'm guessing that's why she wants to maybe save the baby, or maybe she's just like, let's just delay this thing until they get to Katratzi, so I don't have to deal with this anymore. Just take her off the ship out to see this. Nothing to see here. Please go away.
Yeah, I kind of took it as, more trying not to waste a valuable opportunity than any kind of actual moral issue she had. It was, if Aeryn had died and they hadn't gotten anything out of it, it would have been a wasted opportunity. Whereas she can show value by figuring out that she's pregnant, and that's the reason, and therefore they can get the DNA, whatever. And I don't know. Either way, weirdness.
Yeah. Which, speaking of which, yeah, apparently the Scarens, possibly, she said that they might. So, okay, it's not a guarantee, but have some way of getting knowledge from fetal DNA. And so, of course, Janek thinks that if this baby is John's, then it would have some of his wormhole knowledge. Heck? I mean, I've never been a big believer in like race memory, like those kind of things, which I know it's a science fiction concept. It's used in novels, TV shows everywhere. Sure. Okay. I mean, really, the only person that has to believe it is Janek so that he stops torturing Aeryn and she stays alive to go to Katratzi and to be rescued later. And our show continues and, we're all happy.
Yeah, I missed that on the initial storyline, but the I thought it was just more to have the baby as leverage over Crichton. I kind of with you on the DNA history thing. That just confuses me and I don't understand it. So maybe they'll explain it more when they get to Katrotsky. I don't know.
Yeah, because did John always have this knowledge? And like, hopefully they'll probably hopefully explain this some more. I don't know, but yeah, it's like, but if he had it, then does his dad have it too? Then like what? Huh? But obviously he never used it.
He has it. His sister has it. There's another. Um,
There might be if this all goes south, he can just go to Earth and grab Jack Crichton, and
yeah, the force is strong in his
that's right.
family. So
He's the promised one. Yeah, he'll bring balance to wormholes.
yeah, he'll have the high ground.
But there's just too much sand though. It gets everywhere. It's
Hates it.
yeah. So I guess overall, another plot line that was like, yeah, okay, I don't really care. But that's how scarams operate. We've seen that before. They torture people to get information they want. But obviously, we knew Aeryn and the baby wouldn't die. So it's just more of going through it with Aeryn to be sympathetic with her, to be like, you go, girl, resist. It's TV drama. I get it. I mean, but yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, unlike Crackers, these characters didn't matter to me.
Yeah, yeah. But it kind of is what it is. But like you say, the crackers are what matter. So we didn't get much out of these episodes, but we only have a few left. So maybe it'll even out in the wash at some point.
And it's kind of they could have combined like the last two episodes together or something, or make they had like 90 minutes of stuff. It's like, well, I got have another half hour. Let's have a torture thing. I don't know, whatever. But
Well, yeah, because like you said, there's not that much left, so everything should be counting from this point forward, and that's kind of a interesting problem to have.
yeah, which I mean, I guess at this point they already had the arc of the show done because they knew what the next couple episodes were going to be. Which again, they didn't know they were going to be canceled, so they could drag things out or expand things and not have to rush it all, which they didn't know they had to. So I mean, okay, fine. Yeah, I get it. So yeah, anything else we didn't talk about, or I mean, we kind of covered most everything.
No, I think like you say, we're kind of there at this point. We'll see where they go next. Hopefully, we'll actually hit some plot progress because we don't have much left, and it's time to start getting some answers before we wrap up.
Got 4 more to go, plus the miniseries after this one.
That seems crazy.
So speaking of which, that means next time will be season 4, episode 19. We're So Screwed, part 1, Fetal Attraction. So I love it. So playing a usual guessing game of
Good name.
What does that mean? Well, obvious name, obvious. First off, great title. Obviously, the usual play on words. Fetal attraction, fatal attraction. Pretty much doubt they're going to get Glenn Close or Michael Douglas in the next episode.
Wouldn't that be a shock?
Yeah, surprise. And then, as we said, one of the things we learned this last episode was Scarens have some way of extracting knowledge from fetal DNA at Katratzi. So, of course, that's where they're going. Moya and crew now know where that is. So that's where they're going too. So, hey, now finally, we're going to get the big rescue episode. Assuming, of course, that location is the same in this reality as the unrealized one, which would be a hilarious audience troll if it wasn't. But again, they're running out of episodes for the season, so I'm sure that's exactly where it is, and that's where they're going.
Surprise, Katrotsky's actually on Earth, but no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm agreeing. We're going to have to start focusing on the baby and getting Aeryn back and start circling for the end because we got a lot of ducks to line up. So
Yeah, and because it's in the title, part one, so it's at least a two-parter, if not a three-parter, and then they wrap up in one episode the final of the season slash series finale. So they've always, as we said before, they've always done multi-part episodes extremely well. So I'm already the bar is high, set high now that this is going to be a good final 2 or 3 episodes, depending on how many parts there are. So we'll see.
yep, looking forward to it.
Yeah, so that is your homework, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.